Okay, so you're here with us because you want to know what's going on with Tesla these days.
Yeah, they're always in the news, huh?
Right, exactly. Always something going on. Seems like every week there's a new headline, good or bad. And in the EV world, well, things change so fast it can be tough to keep up.
Yeah, it really can. There's a lot of noise out there. That's why we're doing this deep dive. We went through all the recent news and all the numbers so you don't have to. The sales, the financials, the product quality talk, the protests, the competition, even the new stuff on the horizon. We've got it all.
Our mission is to cut through that noise and give you the insights you need on Tesla right now. So where do we even start? I guess maybe let's jump right into the financial side of things. The numbers tell a story, don't they? Tesla's deliveries for the first quarter of 2025, well, they're down 13% compared to the same time last year. Pretty significant, huh? They only delivered 336,681 vehicles. So what's going on there? What's behind those numbers?
Well, there are a few things happening. It's no secret that the EV market is way more competitive now than it was even a year or two ago. There are a lot more choices out there now for people who want to go electric. But there's also something else at play with Tesla specifically, and that's the whole public reaction to Elon Musk's political involvement, specifically his alignment with the Trump administration. That seems to be turning off some buyers.
Yeah, and the market is definitely reacting to all of this. Tesla stock is down like, what, 32% over the past year? And then it took another hit, another 1.7% drop right after they released those first quarter delivery numbers.
Yeah, analysts are starting to get worried. There's the whole market saturation question. Maybe the early adopters, the people who are really eager to go electric have already bought their EVs.
Yeah.
So now Tesla has to work a lot harder to convince new buyers. And then, of course, there's Musk himself and how his public image is affecting the company. And we can't forget about those potential tariffs either. The ones on imported auto parts, 25% tariffs that could really hurt Tesla's bottom line.
Right, that's a big concern. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it? I mean, there are still reasons to be optimistic about Tesla's future, right? What are some of the bright spots?
Oh, absolutely. Even with all these challenges, a lot of people still believe in Tesla's long-term potential. Their self-driving technology is a big one. They are still leading the pack in that area. And if they can really make a breakthrough with their FSD system, well, that could change everything. And don't forget about their plans for cheaper EVs. That could open up whole new markets for them. Some analysts even think that those low Q1 numbers might be the bottom. They think we might see a turnaround as those new strategies and technologies start to kick in.
So there's still hope. Okay. Let's talk about another issue that's been dogging Tesla for a while, and that's product quality, specifically all those recalls they've been having. The Cybertruck recall in particular is a big one, right?
Yeah, it is. It affects almost all the Cybertrucks they've built so far.
Yeah.
Something like 46,000 trucks. The problem is a trim panel that can come loose and become a road hazard. And it's not just a one-off thing either. This is the 8th recall for Tesla since the beginning of last year.
8. Wow, that's a lot. You have to wonder what's going on with their quality control. I mean, sure, they're being transparent. They're putting out guides on how to use the Cybertruck's jack mode, but all these recalls, they have to be hurting their reputation.
Yeah, no question about it. These recalls cost money, they disrupt production, and they make people think twice about buying a Tesla. It's a serious problem for them.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just safety, too. Every time they have a recall, it just reinforces this idea that their cars aren't as well made as they should be.
It all adds up. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something else that's been in the news a lot lately. Those Tesla takedown protests. It seems like a lot of people are really upset with Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's a global movement now. People are protesting at Tesla dealerships all over the place. The US, Canada, Europe, even Australia. They're calling for boycotts. And it's all because of Musk's politics, his support for Trump, and his alignment with the right wing of American politics.
And it's not just peaceful protests either, right? Things have gotten a bit out of hand in some places.
Yeah. Sadly, there have been some incidents of vandalism and even violence. There have been some arson attacks on Tesla facilities, and someone even left incendiary devices at a dealership in Austin, Texas. It's scary stuff.
Yeah.
It shows how deeply some people feel about this.
And it seems like all this negative sentiment is having a real impact on Tesla's sales, particularly in Europe.
That's right. Their market share in Europe has fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
It went from almost 18% in early 2024 to just over 9% now. That suggests that European buyers are turning away from Tesla and toward brands like BYD. You have to wonder if maybe European consumers are more sensitive to Musk's political leanings, or if BYD is just offering a better product for the price.
Interesting. Speaking of BYD, they've actually proposed a partnership with Tesla, haven't they? That's a pretty big deal. I mean, here you have one of the biggest EV makers in China reaching out to a global leader like Tesla. What do you think is behind that?
Well, on the surface, it seems like they both want the same thing,
Hmm.
to speed up the transition to electric vehicles worldwide. It could be a really powerful partnership. You've got BYD with its massive manufacturing capabilities and its deep understanding of the Chinese market, and then you've got Tesla with its cutting-edge technology and its global brand recognition.
Yeah.
Together, they could really accelerate EV adoption. Of course, the devil is in the details. We'll have to see what kind of deal they actually come up with. But it's a fascinating development. Two giants in the EV world who are also competitors deciding to work together.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. And on the partnership front, Tesla has also expanded its emissions pool in Europe. They've added Honda and Suzuki to the mix. Can you explain what that means and why it matters?
Sure. Basically, an emissions pool is a way for car makers in Europe to meet the EU's strict emissions targets. They can average out their emissions across all the vehicles they sell. So if a company like Tesla, which only sells EVs, has a really low average GVOD, they can sell those extra credits to companies that aren't doing as well. It's a way for Tesla to make some extra money, especially when their sales are down. It's like a safety net for them in a way.
Makes sense. So even with all these challenges, Tesla isn't just sitting back and taking it. They're fighting back. They're offering those really aggressive interest-free loans in China, for example. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, they're trying to boost sales in a key market. China is the biggest EV market in the world, and Tesla wants to be a major player there.
Hmm.
But they're facing stiff competition from local brands, so they're offering these loans to make their cars more affordable and to attract buyers who might be considering a Chinese EV instead. It's a smart strategy. They're playing to their strengths and trying to make themselves more competitive. Makes sense. And looking beyond these short-term tactics, they're also working on a more affordable EV altogether, right? Elon Musk has said they might unveil it as early as June. If they can pull that off, it could be a game changer for them, couldn't it? That could be huge. The plan is to build this new EV in their factories in Shanghai, the US, and Europe, so they're going for a global launch right out of the gate.
Right.
And they're packing it with technology, too. It'll have self-driving capabilities and a design inspired by the Model Y. They're aiming for mass market appeal with this one. If they can hit the right price point and deliver on the quality, well, it could be a major success.
Okay, let's move on to the tech side of things. Full self-driving is still a big focus for Tesla, and they're really pushing the envelope with those early access programs.
Yeah, they're going all in on FSD.
Hmm.
Those early access programs are a clever way for them to get real-world data and feedback from users. It lets them improve the system much faster than if they were just testing it in a lab. And they've got a second early access program going now, too, although it's not clear what that one's for. Maybe it's for some new software features or something.
Sounds intriguing. And it's not just about autonomous driving either. They're also making advances in safety features. They've started using cabin radar in some of their Model Y vehicles, for example. What's the story there?
Well, they're getting rid of the old seat sensors and replacing them with this more advanced radar technology. Cabin radar can detect whether a seat is occupied, even if it's a small child or a pet. That means the airbags and seat belts will work more accurately in case of an accident. It's a pretty clever upgrade.
Makes sense. And they're constantly experimenting with new hardware, too. Remember that Model 3 they were testing with a camera in the front bumper? Who knows what they're cooking up there?
Yeah, that was interesting. Maybe they're working on improvements to their autopilot system or their parking assist features. Or maybe it's something completely new. Those test vehicles always give us a glimpse into what they're working on.
And then there are those crazy plans for the CyberCanopy Supercharger. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? They're going all out with RGB lighting and a UFO-inspired design. It sounds like they want to make their charging stations more than just a place to plug in your car. They want to make them a destination and experience. And then there's that talk about cybercab charging stations, too. That suggests they're serious about building out the infrastructure for a fleet of self-driving taxis.
It's ambitious stuff. Okay, let's talk software updates. Tesla is known for its over-the-air updates. They're always tweaking and improving things. What have been some of the recent highlights?
Well, there was the 2025.8.4 update, which is mostly about bug fixes and performance improvements under the hood, stuff you might not even notice, but it makes a car run better. And then there was the 2025.2 update, which had some more subtle changes to the driving experience. They made some tweaks to the handling and the steering that weren't really spelled out in the release notes.
Yeah, so they're always tinkering.
Yeah, constantly. And they added a really cool feature in the Android app, too, a dash cam viewer. Now, you can watch your dash cam footage right on your phone. No more messing around with memory cards.
That's handy. And for Cybertruck owners, there have been some specific updates, too.
Yeah, they added remote height adjustment, so you can change the suspension height from your phone. And they included instructions on how to use the jack mode, which is pretty important given how unique the Cybertruck is.
And even the Model 3 performance got some love.
They tweaked the ride handling to make it more comfortable in FSD mode. That shows they're thinking about the whole experience, not just the technology itself.
That's cool. And there was that clarification about those green and orange indicator dots, too.
Right. It's always good to know what those little lights mean. They give you important information about your car.
So looking ahead to the future, the big news is the launch of the Robotaxi project in June. That's a huge step for Tesla.
It is. They're finally taking their self-driving technology to the next level. The initial launch will be limited to a few cities, but they plan to expand it quickly. And here's a really interesting part. Starting in 2026, they'll let Tesla owners add their own cars to the Robotaxi network. That could be a major disruption to the transportation industry. Imagine your car making money for you while you're at work. That's a bold move.
So yeah, despite all the challenges Tesla has faced this year, there are still a lot of reasons to be excited about their future.
Absolutely. The Q1 results were disappointing, but there's a sense that they've hit bottom and are starting to turn things around. Those new product launches and those strategic shifts, they could make a big difference. And while those tariffs are a real threat, their diversified manufacturing footprint could help them weather the storm.
It all comes down to execution, though, doesn't it? Can they actually deliver on all these promises? Can they fix those quality issues? Can they win back the public's trust?
Those are the big questions. If they can pull it off, they'll be in a great position. But it's not going to be easy. They've got a lot of work to do.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? To sum it all up, Tesla is at a crossroads. They're facing serious challenges, declining sales, quality problems, negative publicity. But they're also pushing forward with some really ambitious plans. They're doubling down on self-driving technology. They're expanding into new markets. They're exploring partnerships with other industry leaders.
It's a fascinating time to be watching them.
It really is. So here's a question for you to think about. What do you think is the single most important factor that will determine Tesla's success or failure in the years to come? Is it their technology, their products, their leadership, or something else entirely? It's a complex equation with a lot of moving parts, but it's a question worth pondering. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Tesla.
Yeah, it was a good one.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right.
Take care.